Hey, you're at the Roleplay Cafe. Dale here. I'm going to do a recap, possibly a little bit of reflection on the Bladerunner RPG that John is running us through. Electric Dreams is the title of the session. It's gone 3 sessions now, and looks like it's going to have to be wrapped up at least an hour more of play, which will be the 4th session. We didn't get a chance to record the 3rd session, which is a little bit of a travesty because it's very engaging and very interesting. The other 2 sessions prior have been very interesting. I'll discuss that a little bit afterwards in my reflection. But to give a little recap, we had opened up the session standing outside the snake pit, which is where the murder and possible abduction had happened that we were investigating. Like I said, the previous sessions, if you watch those, you'll know what happened. But here we arrive, all 3 of us meet at the snake pit. There's already, I believe, 4 patrolmen outside the area with their spinner. There seems to be a sex worker outside the door smoking a cigarette, dancer. She's all glittered up. And we're standing there, and my character, Percival, makes a little nudge toward Todd's character, Olson, when she's the only human with us, to go over there and see, in her candor, the way Todd plays her, she's very, I figured that they would possibly, hit it off at least. She could speak her streetwise language. Anyway, so she takes me up on it. Olson does. And Todd takes Olson over there, bums a cigarette from her, and begins to talk, what's her deal? And the girl, you can tell she's not too happy with the current situation at the snake pit. She lays it out to Olson that these cops here are running away business, and she only survives off of tips. She has to pay the house, and she wasn't making any money, and she was out there smoking. Olson says, "What can I? Maybe we can scratch each other's back here. If I can, get them out of your hair for a while, possibly you can give me some information, right?" So Olson begins to ask her if she was there during the night before, whenever the murder took place. And Iris says that she was, and it was a scuffle, and she, if I'm remembering that correctly, I think she was. It was a scuffle, and things went fast, basically, and then it ended. And Todd's character, Olson, to do her part, she goes over there and tells. She comes back to us, asks Ashley, and we talk about it, and said, "Well, I suggest my character Percival suggests that." That David's character, Finna, possibly, talk to the patrolman about making themselves scarce for the moment. And Finna wants to know why. She is very by the book. And so Percival suggests that perhaps they leave for a little while to search for, I believe it's Leah, the lady that was missing or abducted or what have you. Is she surrounding, or her child? And we had taken the pictures from Leah's apartment, and we showed to show the officers. Well, Finna, once she's convinced that, we're not impeding their duties, and I said, no, we'll take over their duties while we're here. We're watching it, and maybe, within a few blocks radius, they can find something and uncover something, and this will allow us to, interview the people inside of the snake pit and they won't be so uptight about what, they'll be a little bit more forthcoming about information. So anyway, Finna agrees and goes over there and speaks to the patrolman. And, of course, all this is bound up to mechanics to where, roles are succeeded, and they concur, and they take a good look at the photographs and head off. And expect to be back in about 30 minutes or so, which might give us a little time to interrogate. Now, we pull up a schematic of the snake pit and look at it and decide that Todd should... that was one thing that Todd had found out from Iris that was a critical piece of information. It seemed like when she described who was there, the Aurelian was there. And he's got a bald head. The Aurelian was the... character that Finna, Todd's character, had spoken to on Animoid Row, and the one that was the purveyor of synthetic insects and what have you, and animals, right? Which we had found in the inside of Leia's apartment. But whenever that information was there, he understood that this being might be, this Aurelian might have been in the same place at the same time when he was talking to her, because Leia was saying that he was just there. All right. So then we decided to go into the snake pit, and maybe he's possibly in there still, so we don't want to scare him away or run him. If he does bolt out the side door, Todd's character can apprehend him at that moment, so she can go around there and start entering through that way, do a little entrapment. And so we do that. And we get the KIAs, which are basically our walkies, on. Finna and Percival enter the front. Olsen, Todd's character, goes around to the side door. And when we enter, we see a couple of drunken young men. What appears to be the owner or someone berating the bartender. And when David's character, Finna, goes up there to speak to them, to try to get some information out, again, because she was, I'm playing a male character, and there were dancers in there, so he might be a little bit more open to talking to a female than he would my character. So Finna approaches him again to set some... to try to gather some information from him. She asked, he gets a little bit more straight-laced around her, and doesn't apply so much pressure to the bartender, and backs off a little bit. And she asked if they could retreat to, his office or whatever. She has some questions, a line of questioning. And he allows that. It's not all that busy. So I take a seat at the bar when they go into the back room, and I got it on Vox open channel. So Todd's, could contact Olsen, Todd's character, to be on Vox with me to let him know what's going down. And as I'm sitting there, I speak to the bartender. He doesn't seem to know much. Right off, he's a little bit, I didn't see anything. I'm like, hey, I didn't ask anything. Just give me a sarsaparilla, something. Shirley Temple, I'm on, on duty. I didn't say that. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and I happen to catch out of my peripheral this bald man walk into the side and out thing. I'm thinking that may be the Aurelian. So, down the hallway. So I attempt to cut him off at the pass and go an alternate route to where I would intersect with him, and begin to act, stagger around a bit drunkenly, like the two youths at the bar. David begins his line of questioning, and I can't remember too specifically about what occurred there, what information he pulled out of the owner. The owner just went through basically what had happened and in more fuller detail of what happened that night previously. But I'm following this other individual to the back, and I kind of stagger into him and pull my weapon and put it into his side, and then push him off into a little side room. He concurs. He's not belligerent. He says his name, which I can't recall what his name is right now. Sat down. I start talking with him, but he's about 250 pounds, 6'7". He's basically a giant. I've got my Vox open still, so my colleague Olson can hear what's going on. Right. So she starts moving inside. David's character Finna wraps up her conversation and leaves out. Whenever I am in the room with the rather large man, that's what it was. I was talking with him. He said his name, but he didn't have any identification. So I got on the horn with Olson, and he said he was there and he knew. I said, "Do you know anybody here at this establishment?" He said Iris, which was the lady that Olson had approached earlier outside, the dancer. That was, that wasn't so pleased with the police scaring off clientele. So Olson, I snap a picture and send it to him over the KIA. He gets the picture and goes inside and sees if he can verify that with Iris. She does verify that she knows the individual when she sees him, says his name, and he had been there the other night, and he was the one who came to, was trying to, and her account was trying to break up the potential assault that was occurring, but he was caught up in the scuffle. Now, upon hearing this, at first, Percival's first inclination was, he was a little bit skittish anyway, and he had already suffered a stress point while he was at the bar, this is his first time in the field. So he's trying to handle a situation. He don't want to get reprimanded for actually pulling a weapon on, just somebody who's a patron of the place that he didn't have any kind of legitimate warrant to do that with. But anyway, so he's standing there. I'm hearing this, and then Percival decides to, at that moment, I relax a little bit. I frisked him. He was very compliant. He just claimed he didn't have his information, and when I verified that Todd's character Olson verified that Iris did recognize his picture and him, and then Finna decided to remove him from, if he had been involved in the scuffle before, he didn't need to become involved in any potential scuffle that we would have with Aurelian or anybody else. So then, looking at the time, Percival estimated that the cops may have been returned. Hasn't been 30 minutes yet. They were due relatively shortly. So I asked him, I said, I still had the gun pointed in his direction as far as Percival did. Stand up. I relaxed the hair and said, well, you were here and you were involved in this. We need to take you down to the precinct to get you, to answer some questions. And he said, can't we just do that here? And I said, well, we need to take it down for the record. It won't be too long, or it won't be whatever. And then I kind of motioned with my gun. I still had my gun trained on it, and then he lunged for my gun. At that moment, as he was going for the gun, Percival pulls the trigger. It does hit him in the abdomen, or right side, I believe, and tears some of into the flesh. But he does land on Percival and drives him down to the floor and grabs his neck and starts to strangle. Now, at this point in time, they hear the shot go off. Finna, which is David's character, is rather close to the room. It is closer than Todd's character, Olson. So, you know, she's already came out of the owner's office and is right near it when she hears the shot go off. She runs to the door, but the door, as it slams shut and Percival's body hits, it slams her in the face, and she's shocked a little bit. So she takes a little bit of a shock, or her resolve goes down or whatnot, and it stuns her for a second. But this mechanically gives her, you know, a randomization result, which kind of gave her a boost of adrenaline, so to speak, and she hops back up and she gets to move before it, and she gets another move on top of it. So she kicked the door back open. He ran in there and tried to pull him off of Percival, this giant of a man, and she does successfully. He releases somewhat of his grip on Percival and leans back. By this time, Todd's character Olson's coming in the room and slides and takes his feet out underneath him because he leered back up with her on his back and trips him and falls down. And Percival was able to get up. Falls down on top of Olson, I believe. So either Olson or Finna, both of them had taken buffeting damage. I get up and able to grab his arm and twist it behind him and then get the cuffs on him. So it took all three of us to grapple him and get him in a situation where he wasn't a threat so much anymore. We get him up and lead him out to the car or the spinner, and we head off to the precinct. We're all pretty much damaged, so we said we're done here for the moment. We need to take a breather, take him out there and interrogate him. And as we take him back, we have I didn't want to go as far as Percival. We didn't want him to be caught up in a medical thing, so we did some temporary. We had a medic come in and just bind literally his wounds and look him over, but he wasn't going to be stationed in a hospital where I couldn't access him or be closed off or have that. We needed to jump on this this person as soon as possible and get as much information as possible. And Olson was the one to do that. But before that happened, the medic noticed while he was bandaging him up, he noticed when he pulled his eyelid down that there was a serial number. This was a Nexus 8 model. All right. So we knew that something was up. And this is when, I cover up the video channel. I get, any kind of a camera feed. And we do the good cop, bad cop. But I was slightly bad. It seems like Percival had picked up a little bit of Olson, Todd's cavalier. This first time on the streets, he's changed somewhat his perception of how things should go. Finn is very much straight-laced, David's character. But Percival was a bit of babe in the wood, could be manipulated to, he was yet to be determined. So Olson goes to work on him. And it takes a good while, and he's very resilient, but he finally gives out the information that he was trying to aid Leah as a Nexus 9 to wanting to get off-world, and believed the discovery was that her partner, the one that was shot, he found out about this at the time, and she ended up shooting her partner. And so this contact that we had, Terrell, I believe his name was Tassie. You have to forgive me. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, who was the contact that we knew of him. and that he may be, somebody for us to reach out, right? So we know he's still in the works there. But, she had gotten in contact with Mr. Lewis to provide her some kind of an exit plan to get off world. And it aligned with her impressed memory of her daughter and whatnot. But we knew that we had apprehended this Nexus 8 unit. Well, while Olsen, her hands were pretty much cut up and bloody from the work she did on him, and she was going to wash up, I had slid a recorder across and picked up what he had said about what went down. And I walked straight up to Finna had gone into, David's character had gone into she had so much resolve drop that she had to do a test to kind of recalibrate. So she was having that done. So I took the opportunity to take that tape recording, and I went up to the chief, which we had seen him when we first got to the back to the precinct. He called us in and showed us a magazine that this Kill magazine had already gotten word that we got a rogue Nexus that is killing people, and they're the ones who's the anti-android basically movement. So they want to throw any kind of a negative light on these androids. Well, or Nexus 9s in particular. And Percival comes up there and slides the recorder to him and presses play and listens to him, and he says, basically, we still have to get Lena. This is what happened, or Leah. Forgive me, I forgot the name. The other officer that had gone rogue and did this. And, she was still out there. And I corrected him and I said, no, we've apprehended the assailant that did this murder. Wink, wink. Basically, this Nexus 8, which they're outlawed right now. We can take him out, place the blame on him, and then go get her, cut her off at the pass, so to speak, if she's about to head off world. And then basically that's where we reconvened, and we kind of set up plans to in what direction we want to do that, which is either go to some kind of a launching pad, the local city launching pad that sends you off world. Try to go through a database to find, I believe that we did go through a database to find if her name was anywhere in the system, or Mr. Lewis's name was anywhere in the system. And then we did find his number was associated with the taxi cab company in town. So he's been calling and working out of the back rooms of this taxi cab company. Mr. Lewis, who is setting her up for off-world departure. So that's an area we can go access to get more of a direct, don't call him to meet him, but catch him with his pants down, so to speak, at his, at the area of his, we got the leverage there, so we can approach him there and do what we need to do to force it out of him. And that would obviously be something that Olsen probably wouldn't be too shy at doing, as seen earlier. But she will do, she'll do what she needs to do, and we need to get the information off and then find out exactly under what alias Leah's traveling and what ticket number and where she's going to do this, and then to keep her from getting off world so we can apprehend her and take this rogue Nexus 9 off of the out of the system, basically, and do it quiet. So we're saving, in effect, we've got a scapegoat with the Nexus 8, and we're saving the company's face, and we're not giving any information or any credit to the movement that is putting the Nexus 9s or any androids under the anti-android movement. We're not giving them any ammunition, so to speak. By doing this, we're keeping the Nexus 9 models relevant, sweeping that underneath the rug if we can apprehend her, and we're also getting that company and getting the magazine off of our chief's back, so in turn he can get off ours, so we can focus on what we need to do. So anyway, that was it. It was really very harrowing. I'd say in the recap, there was it felt pretty tense when I was in the room, especially playing Percival, who was, in my mind, a newly minted field agent, in trying to follow his training, out of the laboratory and into the field, and doing something for, on his first outing. So it had a little bit of a nerve like that, especially the giant of a man, 6'7", that big, and it took all three of us to apprehend him and keep him alive, so we could talk with him, which was ultimately what we were trying to do, because we knew once he got set off like that, we knew we had stumbled in. Literally, I'd stumbled into a big part of the puzzle. I thought I was falling there really potentially, which is something totally different. I didn't know I was going to bump into a Nexus 8. But there it is, and we'll pick up next Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. Next Wednesday with the last part of the session, and if it ends rapidly, maybe we can switch and start another game, or just wrap it up. Normally, and begin the week after that. But nevertheless, and I think Saturday we got Dark Age of Man, which that's tomorrow. So a lot of gaming coming down the pike, and a lot of good gaming, I'll say. But enjoying the Bladerunner RPG more than I thought I would initially. At first blush, and now that I've sank my teeth into it a little bit, it's very intriguing. That's well done. Bravo. And John's doing a great job laying it out for us. And Todd and David are doing a great job as well. It's been pleasurable. Anyway, I'll let you go, and we will see y'all tomorrow. All right. Take care.